All right, and so we've learned a lot of reactions. We've learned about a lot of mechanisms. We've just learned a whole lot, right? And so you really got to start practicing, go through the work along stuff, go through the problem set. And if you've gone through both of those, go on the internet, try to find some other problems here and there. If something looks funky, come find me and ask, hey, what's going on here? And we can resolve any issues there. But you really want to practice, practice, practice as much as you can. That's really going to be the best way to help you out. There's like three main question types here, right? I could ask you for the product, the reagent, or the substrate. Of course, that's not all the questions I could ask. I could ask for a mechanism. We could do a multi-step synthesis, or I could ask you other questions like, what substrate is going to be most reactive towards this reactant, that kind of thing. So let's take a look at some examples. Right, so in this case, I've given you the substrate and the reagent, and then I want you to think about the product. Right here, we see that we have an alkene. And so we're thinking about maybe some kind of addition reaction, oxidative cleavage, something like that. And then here we see our reagents, and what we're thinking about here, we see that we're doing boration, right? Hydroboration, oxidation. And so remember that is an anti-Markovnikov addition of H and OH, where OH goes on the less substituted carbon. And so then we can think about what our product is. So we're going to add H and OH across this double bond with the OH going on the less substituted side. And then we can think about the stereochemistry here. We see that we don't have any stereocenters, so we don't have to worry about the stereochemistry there, right? And so you want to be able to do these types of problems relatively quickly. Another example, maybe I give you something like this. And then the product. And then you want to take a look, what's the differences between the substrate and then the product, right? We see we have an alkene here, and then we see that we added OHs here, right? And so we're going to add H, OH, and another OH, right? We're going to do some dihydrogenation. And so we also see that one is a wedge, one is a dash, that they're added anti to one another, right? So we need to do some kind of anti addition of two OHs, right? We learned how to do that through the MCPBA, the epoxidation, followed by an acid catalyzed epoxide ring opening, right? And so there's that reagent right there. Of course, you would get the enantiomer as well. Another type of problem I could give you is to give you the reagents and give you the products. And then ask you what the substrate is, right? And so you want to identify what's going on here. So we're seeing some aldehydes and ketones, and we're seeing O3. So we're thinking that this is going to go through some kind of ozonolysis. And if we think about what happens in an ozonolysis, right, we start off with some kind of ketone or aldehyde, alkene, and then we end up with carbonyls. And so, right, we're thinking about, we're splitting this double bond right here. And so if we do the reverse, we're going to basically combo these things, right? And so if we count out the number of carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we can think about, okay, this is going to then come from a 6-membered ring with an alkene. And then, of course, there's this methyl group on the first carbon, right? So that's our product, or our reagent substrate right there. And so honestly, this is all just practice, 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 and you have to be the one that's practicing it, right? Watching videos of other people practicing is not going to be nearly as helpful as you actually taking the time and going through these. But it all first starts off with knowing the different reactions, knowing what kind of things they do, right? Are they doing anti-addition, syn addition, Markovnikov, anti-Markovnikov? What are the specifics of the mechanism, right? So you really have to have that base knowledge down before you can go through this stuff. And so it's important that you get the base knowledge down quickly.